Yep, recording on this computer. All right. Well, welcome all of you for our Game Changer. This is our interview session, and as you can see, this book in the background. I can't make it point right. This is the book launch day for the Game Changer, and Elan, Bailey, Joey Nichols, Paul Palmer, and Basile Lemba are among the 34 authors, and myself. I'm also one of the authors. And today's a day of celebration because as we bring these stories to the world, we're just so excited to be able to showcase why and what this book is all about, and also to celebrate that we have had the courage to stand up and share our stories. So the questions that I want to ask you guys, and for those that are listening, this book is available on Amazon. You can put in the link is on the picture behind me, or you can put in, just type in the Game Changer, Iman Ake, and you'll find it easily that way too. So the question I want to ask of each of you is, what possessed you to write a chapter for the Game Changer? And we'll start with you, Elan.
Well, I guess I'd have to say it was Iman. Well, for me, my chapter is about my experience over the last 4 years and how the global pandemic catalyzed me to kind of get off my butt and start living the life I wanted to live. So really that's at the core of writing. I've spent a long time, I call it the pendulum, or you take 2 steps forward and 3 steps backward. And really it's this dance of being afraid of being visible, being afraid of owning our greatness. And so for me, 2020 was a catalyst where it's like, you know what, tomorrow's not guaranteed. There is no, well, I'll just put it off into the future. So it really motivated me to step forward and start taking small creative risks with my life and my leadership and my business.
It's beautiful. And it's such a different time right now, because it seems like it isn't just our country that's upside down. It's everywhere. Everywhere in the world, it's upside down. And a lot of us are having to really rethink and regroup and really reconsider exactly how we show up in the world. So your chapter was beautiful. Thank you. How about for you, Joey?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I was so excited when I heard that we were launching the Game Changer 5 because I think it's so timely, and I'm so honored to be a part of it because we really need this message of hope to go out into the world. And my chapter is about a similar experience, about how in the past I struggled and I found a way to overcome it, and how I tried to share that message with my community, which is the recovery community, for years. And then when the pandemic hit and I saw all the destruction that was happening everywhere, but in my community as well, it really was the catalyst for me to just say, okay, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to share this message with other people and help people no matter what it takes. And it was a way for me to kind of get over myself and walk through my fear. And, even when I didn't know what to do, just made it happen, took actions. And now we're at a place where we can help other people. And so that's the whole purpose of the chapter, is to share that message of hope.
That's really beautiful. And sometimes to be raw and vulnerable, to share our stories, it's a big leap. It's one of those things that we like to keep our things close to the vest, kind of, really we don't share as openly as maybe we could. But I think we're all here as leaders, and as leaders, we need people. There are people that really need to read our stories and to hear our stories and know that they're not alone, that there's other people that have seen a way and overcome, and we can show them the way. Thank you. How
Absolutely.
about for you, Paul?
So I, I've been looking at writing a book for quite a while, and joining the lead program, I noticed that the part of it that I've been missing, which is working out how to publish, who to publish with, would be all sorted out already. So I thought it'd be a good idea to be involved. And I probably got to, I don't know, 2 months before it was due to do the submission, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to bother with this. I'm not going to do it. But I thought, no, you've wanted to be involved in there. Just get on with it. So I worked with one of the other members from Lead, who was actually the editor for my chapter. And I'd come up with a story, which is not the one that's in the book. And we just kept talking, and we kept talking, and she was really good at drawing out some background information about me and what had happened in my life and what actually made a difference. And we ended up with the chapter that is actually in the book, which is about a way that I changed. I changed out of a requirement, really, because my now wife was suffering from cancer. And the way that I was behaving beforehand, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. So I changed because I had to change. So I've been rather introvert. I've been more, don't talk to anybody, don't listen to anybody. If you want to do something, just do it. And the chapter that I've done is about why I changed. And now I talk to people. But most
beautiful.
of the point, I actually listen when I'm talking to them.
It's the listening that counts, isn't it?
I'd say about 12 years ago, I wouldn't have had the conversation even. Never mind actually write the chapter of the book. And it was partly to do with Iman, but it was also partly to do with the discussions that I've had as part of Lead. So I've met a lot of different people, and I would say it's the conversations with people that made me think, well, I do actually want to do this, rather than just one person. I would say it's the whole community.
It's an amazing community, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. A lot of tribute to Iman for having the heart and the connection, the desire to be that kind of a leader. And he has brought together some of the most incredible people. And I think each one of us have gained tremendously by being in this circle of people, because it's opened up a whole new world of even looking in the way we look at ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Very good. Thank you. And for you, Basile?
The question is, give me a question again, sorry.
And what possessed you to write a chapter for The Game Changer?
Oh, well, the answer is simple. I lost my mind. This thing.
Oh, that's funny.
No, actually, but when the opportunity was presented to me, I asked myself, what should I say? And I had this thought, what is the thing that is constant in my life? So I asked myself, what is the thing that is constant in my life? For me or anybody else for that matter. The thing that is constant in my life, and I believe in all lives, is the person themselves. Wherever you have, whatever is happening, people come and go, circumstances change. In my case, I go in different countries, this and that, the other thing. The only single constant is myself. So then when it comes to making anything happen, the question becomes, or I came to the conclusion, if it is to be, then it is up to me. So it's all sit on me. Yeah, and that's the title of my chapter. If it is to be, it's up to me. Opportunity comes and go, people comes and go, country changes and what have you. So you are the constant. I am the constant. So if it is to be, it's up to me. Mean that I then have to learn everything that I can along the way and set my goal and stick to them. Because it is something that no one else can do for you.
No. Each one of us, that's our responsibility to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've tried to do, or I've done. Everywhere I've gone, I've lived in, I started my life at least 4 or 5 times. First time when I left my family at 10 years old, went to a boarding school. And at age 15, I went to France, lived there for 10 years. And then after that, moved to Florida, lived there for 10 years. And then came up over here in Virginia. So each and every one of those times, I have to restart totally and completely. So am I going to make progress? Am I going to achieve anything? It's all dependent on me, not the environment, not the people and what have you. So that's what I wrote the chapter, and summarizing all those lessons and coming up to what I do today, which has been even everything that I learned along the way, putting it together so now I can help people connect, network with one another based on everything that I learned throughout my life.
Beautiful. So Elan, thank you for sharing that, Basile. Elan, what is it that you do today? What do you bring to the world today? And how do you serve as an impactful influencer?
Yeah, so, I've been bandying about a few different titles. So I'll share them and then I'll get to the core of it, which is really surfacing for me. So, I act as a leadership coach, an organization development consultant. I call myself a self-leadership alchemist. To Basile's point, when people really show up authentically in the world, we can actually transform our environment. And I think that's really important right now as we look at what's happening and the world turned upside down. And hey, maybe these systems weren't really designed with everybody's success in mind anyways. Maybe it's a good time to look at what we've created. But if we're going to create something new, how do we create that from a more authentic place? And so that's the work I do. And I call it alchemy because really, when we do the work internally, the more of us that are doing that work, the more power we have to transform the world around us. At the core of it, it's about owning our greatness.
Oh, that's
Not
beautiful.
the ego greatness, not the like, oh, look at my list of accomplishments and, where I went to school. The greatness that was you before society got a hold of you. That unconditional, you were born already. Like just look at how amazing it is that we get up every morning and we don't have to think about what it is to breathe and move and walk and talk. That stuff is coded in us. And if we freed ourselves up from having to prove that we belong here and instead owned our greatness, what would we get up to creating in the world? So that's my game in the world.
That is beautiful and very well expressed. Thank you for that. How about for you, Joey? I know you mentioned it earlier, but let's expand on what you bring.
Absolutely. So I have a title, and I'll get to that in a second, but what I do behind the scenes and in my other areas of life, I'm a copywriter, I am a volunteer, I work with people in recovery and mentor them. I also have people that mentor me. I've been a health and wellness worker. And what I did was bring all of that background into the nonprofit world. And I'm an executive director of Uplift Your Life, which is a nonprofit. And we help people in recovery learn entrepreneurial skills, personal development skills, so that they can take their lives to the next level.
Perfect. So much so needed in this time.
Absolutely.
Thank you for what you do. And Paul, what is it that you do?
I help pharmaceutical companies get their product to market consistently.
Wow.
So really, it's the regulatory aspects. But I've got a second business as well. So I also help small business owners to get their business online.
That's a special gift to be able to do that.
It's well, the pharmaceutical business funds the other business, really.
In time, it will fund itself, but
Yeah.
one can lead to the other, and that's sometimes what we need to do.
Yeah. The pharmaceutical side is what I've been doing all my life. The helping other people get things moving forwards is because I want to, basically. Cool. Whereas the pharma side is for money.
It's also that necessary thing, huh?
It is, but a lot of the thing that drives me with it is not actually the money side. It's the patient need, and actually ensuring that the patient gets the product that they need to get better, which is partly what my story in the book's about, because it's about helping my wife get through cancer.
Beautiful.
But actually the impact on me rather than just her.
It's amazing how that works out for all of us, isn't it?
It is.
Actually, Basile, this morning, I have a local networking group here in Arizona, and I had him as a guest speaker. And in the speaking, what he shared about being interested and about the put your own interests last, and how it really kind of winds it down to giver's gain. You know, the
Yeah,
the
no.
more that we give, the more that we gain, and
Mhm.
it's really beautiful. So, would you encourage, as you're working with people, and this is a question for each one of you, would you encourage somebody else that you're working with, somebody that you know, love, and trust, to also put pen to paper and write their story, and why? We'll start with you, Basile.
Well, I think that we all unique. Everybody has their own gift. Again, it ties into what I just said. Uh, you come to life, you came to bring something, you have something to bring. So therefore, you should write it down. It's as simple as that. You have your own experience, you have things to share, other people could benefit from it. So then you put it out there so they can also take advantage of it. Because ultimately, what is the definition of a culture? The culture is putting together knowledge that we're leaving behind so the next generation can have it easier.
Yes,
So that's
absolutely.
really the culture. So then by putting it down, that's what you are adding or bringing to the culture. So the next one, the people after you, in this life, in this moment, and those coming after can have it easy. If any one of us was born and then they have to make their own car, build their own house, build their own road, build everything else, I mean, we'll never make it.
Right.
We use the knowledge gained from the people who came behind us to move further in life. So that's what is important, that each one of us, if you get a chance or if you want to, it's absolutely a contribution to the culture.
Very good. So, Basile, for the benefit of the listeners, what is it that you bring to the world in the work that you do?
Oh, I bring nothing. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was fortunate through my life that I hit on earlier on a dramatic relationship situation. So from there, I started saying, And then I decided to learn everything there could be, that is to be known, and put it together so that other people have it easy. So I teach people how to network. I teach people how to build good relationships. I have two quotes that I'm hoping they are mine. One is, the quality of your life is proportionate to the quality of your networking. That is to the general people. To the business people, I said, the amount of money that you make is proportional to the quality of your networking.
Beautiful. And your presentation to my group this morning was exceptional. And everybody responded so well to that, because what you teach, we often have gone out to networking meetings. Now most of them are virtual right now. And my first experience when I first started networking was quite of a culture shock, a very different. What I noticed and what I found kind of intimidating is that people oftentimes would not say, and what it is that you do. It was always here's my card and this is what I do. And I learned from that that's not how you win hearts or even grow a business. It's by first showing that you're totally interested in them. And your presentation today brought that to light very well. Thank you.
You're
So for
welcome.
you, Joey, would you encourage someone to write a chapter like this, and why would you encourage them to?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the best ways to really find ourselves. They say we can find ourselves by losing ourselves, right? Beginner's
Right.
mind's no mind, beginner's mind's zen mind. And when I sat down to write my book, I had these ideas of what it was going to look like. And once I started writing, those ideas started to go away. I had to let go of all of that and really explore the story that was within me, and to get that out and really get my passion and my point across in a way that hopefully will connect with readers. I had to really do a lot of self-searching and figure out what's important to me. Why is this important to me? And how do I take what I've learned and express it clearly so that other people could be helped by it? So it's its own personal development package written like that you're going through while you're putting your story down in a book. So I would recommend it to everybody. Absolutely.
Very good, thank you. I find that is so true. And when I first started in the book publishing realm, I wrote my own book. And what I discovered is I'm not even that person any longer when I wrote that book, because life has gone on and changed, and the people I've served, I've learned from in so many different ways. So I've been able to grow. But when you write, it's like it put things in a whole different perspective and you see it in a different light. And then you keep growing. And that's what the beautiful part is. But it's something special about putting pen to paper that really just changes maybe even your own personal perspective of what the life that you've lived. So thank you for sharing. How about for you, Paul?
I would say yes, but maybe for a similar reason to Joey. But you find by actually writing something, it makes you think. And I think a lot of us go through life without really thinking about what's happened and why we are how we are, and to actually identify something that makes a difference to yourself. I think it's quite interesting to talk it through with somebody else, because that's the only reason I got to the point where I did writing anything at all. Was actually I didn't actually put pen to paper. I dictated all of it.
Yeah, feel the typing, but it's all the same.
I have a little dictation machine.
Well, that works. And, there's many times I'll tell somebody, they'll say, well, I want to publish a book, but I don't know how to do this. And I'm not a writer. It's okay. Well, look at the tools, sets that we have available to us. So you can speak your book. And it's amazing how that happens.
It's a good way, because I've been typing for a long time and I have problems now because of it, because I've been typing since I was about probably over 35 years.
Wow.
Touch typing. So I have problems with if I type too much now. So I bought that to make it easier.
Well, we have wonderful tools and I'm glad that you do that. Yeah. And Elan?
Yeah, for me, I would echo so much of what's been shared already. I think it was Socrates who said, the unexamined life is not worth living. I've been journaling for 30, 40 years, I guess, at this point, maybe a little bit more. But there is something about the stopping and reflecting and writing with intention. So there is writing, for a lot of us, writing about our experiences may feel cathartic. It may feel like a healing experience. We might glean the lessons learned from the experiences we've had. For me, this went to the next level of writing with intention. How does what I experienced potentially relate to what somebody else is going through right now, and how might sharing my story help them better navigate or find their own inner wisdom. And that for me was the key. It's not that what I know, I'm not writing as the expert, that what I know is directly going to apply to your situation, but more that it might touch something inside you that has that reader find something and take an action and move forward. So it's really about connecting with something internal and personal for me and sharing it with others in a way that I hope it connects with something for them. So it was, I would highly encourage it. And if you're inside of any story about like, why me, why does my story matter? There's all these other people out there with, bigger, more important, what have you. That's not the point. That's the beauty of being in the online world, is we get more access to people all around the world, and you never know how what you've experienced could touch somebody on the other side of the planet and help them take a step forward or move through a situation that for them feels impossible. So if you feel moved, it's really to you to answer the call and say yes.
Thank you, Elan. Beautifully said. So if as you're promoting this book, because this is the launch day and we want it to be read for years to come. What do you say to people as you're telling them about this book, and why would you encourage it? What would you say in a way of encouraging them rather to pick up this book and read it?
I would say it's 2020. And we need a little inspiration. We need to reconnect to hope and the human spirit. This is an opportunity to do that, to remember that despite what gets promoted and published online and shared on video, and what we might be over consuming at this time, the things that are there to entertain, the things that are there to raise debate, the things that are there to even cause division and conflict. And that is pulling at a lot of us right now and pulling a lot of our attention. And yet there is more of the still quiet place inside you that comes from inspiration and wants to connect with inspiration. And so my ask is that you carve out a little bit of time in your day, in your life, to connect back to the things that lift you up, that light you up, so that your spark can continue to be shared in the world. So for me, all of what's happened in 2020, there's no better reason to find your sources of inspiration and build on those.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you. For you, Joey, what do you tell people when you're saying, I wrote a chapter in this book and this is why you should pick it up? What is behind it all?
When I am reading stories or I'm reading articles or any kind of media, and I really get into it, I discover new things about myself through hearing the stories of other people and things I can self-identify with, things that challenge the way I previously saw the world, and things that open me up to considering new possibilities in the world. And so that I would encourage everybody to read this book, especially because the authors are sharing their stories of hope, their stories of change. And I know when I read stories from people in the Game Changer, it totally changes the way I see the world, and allows me to look at myself and see how growth is possible. Because if these people have done it based on their circumstances, then I know I can do it as well. And so like it's been said, with so much going on right now, this is a tool to really focus on a solution, on personal growth. Because if we change the way we are inside, we can change our perception of the world. If we change the way we see the world, all of a sudden our world is changed. So this is an amazing opportunity for that.
Right. And I think this time we're living in has caused many, many people to really take a deeper look at who they are and what they're doing and how they do it. And for many of us, if we're called to lead in some way, and there's many different ways to lead, but in that whole process, somebody's coming to the door and the dogs are going to bark. So keep talking. Paul, would you?
I love dogs.
They didn't hear. How cool is that?
I was on mute. I think the stories that you read in the Game Changer are inspiring and they make you think. And that's the only reason I would say pick it up and read it. I wouldn't read. The only thing is, though, I would say don't read it as a storybook. As in, don't read it cover to cover. Pick out the ones that you find interesting. I think I've got number 4 at the moment, and I actually read the one I read the sections for the people that I'm talking to, and get some insights into the person that I'm talking to, and it makes me think.
Yes, in Iman's words in the introduction, he always says, "You never know what came before, so always be kind." And we really don't. When we meet each other for the first time, we have no idea who each other is. We have no clue. And we might not understand why a person maybe reacts a certain way or does a certain thing. But once we read a story that kind of is the showcase of what they want to share with the world, and you learn what they've gone through and what has transpired in their lives to make them become the people that they are today, it changes your whole perspective. And we realize we live in a really small world. You know, it's a huge, amazing, big world, but at the same time, we are all connected in so many ways. And if we take the time to listen and to share and to observe, then and read these stories, then that's what's most important. How about for you, Basile?
Well, I'm sticking with the terms of culture, because if you read 34 stories, you're 34 times richer.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, because it's true you can select story, but it's the case of the treasure hunt. You really do not know where you can find the nugget or the things that are going to communicate to you and what have you. I would say that book, The Game Changers, is about inspiring people. It's a positive materials. The world we live today, we all inundated with negative information. I'll say take a refuge. Take this book, read it. I mean, you can take 10 minutes a day. You don't have to spend necessarily a whole hour, because asking somebody to give you a whole hour can be challenging. They don't have that time. But I'd say take 5 minutes a day, 10 to 5 minutes a day, read this book until the end. You learn something. It will inspire you. You live 34 lives in addition to the one you're living right now. So you're sitting at 35.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you. Well, it's time to wind up this interview, but I wanted to thank each one of you for the stories, the wisdom, the heart that you bring to the world right now, and the way in which each one of you are leading in amazing ways. And for those that are listening or will be listening to this video, we hope you'll pick up a copy of this book. The link is right behind, and it will also be show up on social media with the links. And thanks to each one of you for the special gifts you bring to the world. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And any other
You're welcome.
comments before we close? Anybody have anything else they want to share?
Just thank you, Becky. And this is an honor, and you're amazing. You always do a great job. And thank you so much for your guidance throughout this whole process. It made writing my story a lot easier.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I want to echo that. This is the 5th volume of The Game Changer. And Becky, can you tell us quickly how many people there were in the first edition?
Yeah, there were like 10 in the first one, if that many.
Right. And now we're at 34. And having worked with you personally, and I'm part of that accountability with you, you handle yourself well under pressure and with so much grace. And the reality is, this wouldn't be possible without the way that you show up, your generosity, and the gifts that you give to us, and the way that you lead. So not only would I encourage people to write, but I would encourage them to connect with Becky at Spotlight Publishing, and she'll guide you through a process that you may not know that you're ready for, but you are. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I appreciate that. All right. Well, let's get out there and share our love and wisdom with the world. And thank you all for being here.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.